What's up, Dub Crew? Got a few new toys for you. So I ended up picking up a downpipe and intercooler for the future when I go for stage 2. Today we're gonna install the downpipe and hopefully get some more noise out of this thing. So let's take a look at what I got. I'm excited to get them on. Today the intercooler's not getting on. That's gonna go on another day because that's gonna be a lot longer task. But today we'll get this intercooler on and take it around for a spin and hopefully get some turbo noises in that car. Anyways, let's check out the new parts and go over them before we get them installed on the car. But just a heads up, this isn't going to be a detailed install. It's mostly going to be me putting it on, probably give some high level instructions, but nothing really detailed. It's more of a, whether I'm happy with it or not, and just installing a fun new toy. Anyways, let's get started. Alright, let's start off with the fun toy for today's install. So I ended up picking up an integrated engineering downpipe as well as a Euro tuning O2 sensor spacer to hopefully try to avoid the check engine light while I have this on until I eventually go for a stage 2 tune. The stage 2 tune most likely won't be happening for a while because that's going to involve me first saving up to get a clutch for this thing so I can really utilize the stage 2. I know I could probably run a stage 2 and just baby it and on the stock clutch, but knowing me, that's not really that fun. So I most likely will be waiting till I have a clutch on hand, so if I do stage 2 on a stock clutch, I at least know I have a backup when that thing goes out. But this fun toy is going to be today's install. I'm hoping it makes the car sound a little better. It's the stock GLI is kind of pretty quiet exhaust wise. I'll utilize the stock exhaust for as long as possible. I really haven't seen the need of, at least from the research I've seen, to really have to replace the whole thing. It seems like the downpipe is the main bottleneck, so we'll swap this out and see if it increases the noise. Definitely don't want it to be godly loud. This is my daily driver, and I'm sure my kids will appreciate it not being super loud. But I'm excited to get this on and see the difference. Now for the other toy that's gonna go on later on. Not sure when yet. It's gonna be a lot harder task since the whole front end has come off. But I also got the integrated engineering intercooler for the GLI. So this is gonna be sitting in the garage for a little while until I'm ready to put it on. And if you're wondering why I went with integrated engineering downpipe and integrated engineering intercooler, it's basically because I pretty much chose that I'm gonna go with their tune when I eventually do tune the car to stage 2. So I just decided to go with their brand products to keep everything matching and the same, and knowing if any hiccups or anything are going on with the tune, nothing else can be blamed since I'm using their downpipe and their intercooler. And hopefully, I don't expect anything bad to happen with their tune, but just a safety precaution. But anyways, I'm excited to also get the intercooler on eventually and just seeing how much it helps specifically when the summer comes along. But for right now, I'm definitely trying to get this sucker in here and just seeing how this changes the game. Anyways, let's get started with the install and we'll see you under the car. Alright, so first we're going to have to loosen up the V-band here so we can get the downpipe off the turbo and unplug the O2 sensor that goes further down. Alright, since this is a relatively new car, the V-band was very easy to remove. So we just popped it off of here and just have it sitting on the turbo so I can move the downpipe when I unbolt it from further down. But that wasn't too bad of a job, thankfully. So we just gotta undo the O2 sensor and start unbolting a few things to loosen this thing up and get it out of here. That's gonna be the hard part, is getting it out of here since it is a tight fit down there. Alright, if you're wondering, it's the top plug that's for the O2 sensor that we're going to have to transport to the new downpipe. So we're just going to unclip this guy and get these wires out. Because once we pull out the stock downpipe, we're going to have to take the O2 sensor out and put it into the new downpipe. Alright, so there's a couple bolts on the side of the downpipe that you're gonna have to loosen up. Right back here, where you see that wrench hanging off of, that's one. There should be another one somewhere down there. This is gonna be one of the more difficult tasks of this install as well. Just trying to reach in and get these things. So I am under the car, wedging my hands through whatever gap I can to get this right now. And I'm gonna try to see if I can fit a socket wrench in there with an extension. Alright, switching over to a 13mm deep socket and a shorter extension. Hopefully I can get in. Hell yeah, finally. 13mm deep socket with a smaller extension and just feeling it out because you're not going to be able to see anything. And eventually, hopefully you'll get it. So that's two of those down. Should be pretty much loose now. And hopefully easy to get up. I just gotta see something else blocking it. From fully breaking loose. Alright, in the meantime, we're gonna unbolt these hangers and unbolt that end of the downpipe. Alright, we got this baby off the hangers, and now it's time to fiddle with it on the bottom, pull it out, and replace it with a new one. Guys, as you can see, this is a big pain in the butt, but I guess it is what it is. I'm gonna try to move that heat shield down there out and see if that gives me a little more wiggle room, because right now it's not budging. This is a pretty pain in the butt project. Alright guys, miracles do happen. After I don't know how long messing around with this, I finally got it out. I don't know what VW did with I don't know, just the GLIs or the newer cars, but this thing is not as easy to pop off, so I got to get this sucker off the hangers. So it kind of made trying to maneuver around a lot more difficult. It was just a pain in the butt to get this thing out, period, without a lift. To make your life easier, it gave me a little more space. There's a heat shield that goes down here. You're gonna have to fit your arms through and move things around until you get the 3 T bolts out. I'll tell you the size of the bolts, the T bolts, the T bit later, because it's kind of under the car right now. But once I got that out, it gave me a little more room to keep jiggling it around and finally getting it out. It took forever, but it's finally out. So now we just gotta get the O2 sensor off and put it on the new one, get the new one in.
Alright, well that's a pain. Unfortunately, I ended up stripping the O2 sensor trying to take it off, so I'm going to have to order a new one. In the meantime, I'm going to get everything put together and ready. So it's hopefully it'll be an easy drop once the new O2 sensor is in. Yeah, this sucks.
What's up, guys? It's been a few days now, but the O2 sensor finally came in today, so it's time to get it on the downpipe and back on the car so we can get this thing running. I haven't driven it, of course, since before the install, but now that I have the part, I can get it on the downpipe and start getting this downpipe in there. Hopefully it goes in there a lot easier than the old one came out. Here you can see the differences between both. Hold on, let me add on the other piece. So now you can see the difference between both of the downpipes, the stock versus the integrated engineering downpipe. Definitely looks like a lot less restriction throughout, especially in the upper part. So we'll see how good it sounds and how much more flow it puts out. But anyways, let's get started with finishing this up so I can get it out for a spin. Alright guys, back at you with day number 3 of this world's most annoying install ever. So yesterday I had a few hours to work on it in the evening before I lost daylight, trying to get this downpipe in. Getting it in is just as much of a pain as getting it out. So I got it in. I'm going to show you a few things that you're going to have an issue with, at least on the GLI, which I had issues with, and it basically took forever to get it put in, just because the space and trying to maneuver your hands in there, it just made it very difficult yesterday, and I couldn't really fully finish the job like I was hoping. We'll take a look in there, and I'll show you some of the stuff that you're probably gonna have to play with to get this downpipe to fit correctly, because it wasn't as easy as some of the videos I've seen. So let's take a look, and hopefully this helps you out. Alright, so hopefully you can see this. all right, but down here is one side of the hanger that the downpipe bolts in, both stock and aftermarket. So the other end where the hanger goes in and bolts in, well, in the stock setting it does not align at all. So I had to loosen it up from this end so I can jiggle it around and get it onto the actual bolt to bolt in, and then you're gonna have to retighten that. Now for the other bolt that's on the other side of the downpipe, that one you're gonna have to maneuver around your arm this way, and if you have the O2 sensor spacer like I do, for the time being, it makes life pretty miserable trying to get around and be able to tighten it. You're just gonna have to play around and try to, hopefully you're flexible enough and able to reach in there with a wrench and slowly tighten it up. But it was definitely a major pain. Another thing, I know earlier in the video, I'm gonna try to edit it out, but if it's still in there, you saw me put the O2 sensor and O2 spacer in before I put the downpipe. Well, I ended up having to remove it to get the downpipe in here and up, and then had to basically, while it was loose down there, get the O2 sensor and spacer in on the pipe and try to tighten it, which was just as difficult of a task to get on. But now that it's finally in here, all that's left is to put the remainder of the piping in, or both the remainder of the piping in and also the hangers down below. So hopefully the rest will be easy. I'm gonna go try to knock it out now and get some sound clips and see how the new downpipe feels. Alright, so we got everything bolted in nice and tight. Trying to get this V-band aligned, and the two pieces aligned really sucked, and as you can see, it's a really tight fit down there. I tried to push it as much as I could, but the alignment was, at least for me, not working out too well. I'm not sure how it fits on the GTIs, if it fits better than this. Trying to push this piece over and keeping it there, I couldn't get it much further than this. Maybe with a lift it would have been a little easier and a second pair of hands, but if it's like this on the GTI, then hey, cool, please leave a comment and let me know. But at least for the Jetta, I don't know if they sent me the wrong one or it's just fitment issues with this thing, but it's pretty tight fit. Anyways, now everything's bolted on. Let's start it up and make sure there's no leaks or anything, and see how it sounds. She definitely sounds a little bit nicer now. I can hear some exhaust notes. Okay everyone, we're finally back. So
Sorry it took me so long to get this video out. I've been driving around with this downpipe for a while now, and so far so good. I love it. It almost makes up for how much of a pain it was to get it installed. As you saw in the edited video, it was a real pain to get this thing installed. I saved you the misery of watching a lot of parts that were torturous, but I edited it out. So long story short is it's probably a lot easier if you have a lift. Without a lift on ramps, it made the job very difficult. Also what delayed it too is I had a company, I needed a new O2 sensor. I had a company that I ordered it from who sent me the wrong O2 sensor, then tried to claim that I ordered that O2 sensor, which I didn't, and ended up having to do a PayPal dispute and fight with them and order it from a different company, the correct O2 sensor. And when that finally came in, I had to get that on the car and drive around. So that all led to getting this video out a lot longer than expected, and the car sitting there for a lot longer than I expected. The downpipe is awesome. It does give it a little bit of a nice tone. It's not obnoxiously loud. It's not that loud actually. It's just a little louder than stock. It sounds great. Fitment was really hard, as you saw in the video. It was a pain to get out, the old one to get out, and the pain to get this one in and lined up. And it's kind of a tight fit in certain areas. I don't know if that's how it is in the GTI as well, or how exactly well it fits on the GTI and ease of getting it in there. But with the ramps, it definitely made life miserable. Also, a heads up, since I have been driving this around, the O2 sensor spacer, I knew this from the beginning, it's not a guarantee. So just don't expect it to guarantee no check engine light. I already had the check engine light pop up once, and I had to re-clear it. So just keep that in mind, that you know your O2 sensor, your check engine light will probably pop up once in a while, and that can be taken care of when you get a tune. So since I don't have a tune on here, I knew that was something I'm probably gonna have to deal with. I'll eventually go to a stage 2 tune when I have a clutch lined up, so I'm not worried about, you know, the stock clutch blowing. I know I could baby it, and I'm debated on just getting stage 2 and babying the clutch, but realistically, I don't know if I can actually sit there and baby it like I'm supposed to. So I want to have a clutch at least on hand, waiting in case I do blow the clutch, so I can just, you know, the car doesn't just sit there not being driven. I have, you know, minimize the downtime. But but all in all, I like it. Really no big difference in the butt dyno, just noise aspects, but I knew there wasn't going to be a big difference. This was all just preparing the car for stage 2. Same thing with the intercooler that has to get put on. It's all just to get everything ready for the car to, you know, jump to stage 2 tune eventually. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I would recommend, if you know somebody with a lift, do this on a lift. It'll make your life easier. On a hot driveway, it was definitely a pain in the butt, and trying to fit under the car on ramps was definitely a pain in the butt. But all in all, you know, it went a lot harder than it needed to. But you know, that's how it goes, unfortunately, when you're modding cars. It's not always nice and smooth. At least, you know, with my luck, it's never nice and smooth. But you know, it does make a nicer tone to the motor, and you know, it's just a fun car. I love it. If I get a little opening here, you know, we'll do a nice little, you know, acceleration run. I'm just kind of stuck between cars right now, but we'll make a UE somewhere and do this. But it's definitely, all in all, a great mod, and I'm sure it will pay off for itself when I bump up to stage 2. which who knows right now the timeline of when that's gonna happen. Depends on when that's gonna happen. Let's go. There you go. Yeah, so it's a fun time, man. This car is always a good time, and I think when stage 2 is on here, it's gonna be a real good time. I don't know about future plans after stage 2. This is my daily driver, but we'll see. You know, this is always a fun addiction. You say you're not gonna do something and you're just gonna stop at a certain level, but that never happens. So we'll see how long stage 2 eventually, when I eventually go to stage 2, how long that lasts me. If there's a bigger turbo upgrade for this in the future, who knows. I do have a VR6 Turbo Mark III that I built in my younger days, a long time ago, and it has been sitting in my garage and driveway throughout, but basically it hasn't been driven in over 12 years. Just I had to park it because there's too much hassle with the police, since it's gangster, nice bright and yellow. So you know, I had to park it, and since it's been sitting there for so long, to get it back on the road, I'm gonna have to do some major work to it. So that's probably gonna be my next project, is getting that thing on the road, and maybe trying to squeeze even more power out of that VR6 Turbo. I originally started off as a HPA kit. It is running a dual ball bearing turbo, modded, so it's a 6-speed 02M trans with hardened VW race gears. So it's a limited slip chromoly axles. It's a nice ride. So I'd like to get it back on the road. I miss driving that thing. That thing used to rip. So future plans for that though is probably a different tune from a different company on it, seeing how much power we could squeeze out of the current setup. Maybe in the future upgrade the turbo and shoot for, I'm probably gonna say I want to eventually shoot for 500, around 500 horsepower on that one. You know, but we'll see how that goes. First step though is I would like to get it up and running and back on the road, so I can at least drive it once in a while, and you know, start taking it back to the track. I haven't taken that thing to a track, of course, since way before I stopped driving it. So that's in future work for it. Eventually I'd like to take this to a road course as well, take it down to a track and play around with this thing. But you know, with current situations in the world right now and environment, it'll probably be a little while before we get track days open and everything else. So anyways, I've been babbling a lot. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Hopefully I'll get you more VDub content, and also check out my other content, my Tacoma content and fish tank content, to see maybe, you know, some other hobbies that might spark for you and you might find interesting. But thanks for your support. Please like and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.